How you doing today, folks? So today I have a little bit of a discussion video on you. So I've been really kind of getting into the older ZTs. This is the ZT-0200. This is a Ken Onion collaboration. This is not assisted, even though you would swear it is when you're closing it. It doesn't drop. It needs considerable amount of push. But the action's okay. It definitely needs some wrist quite a bit sometimes, but it's all right. As a flipper, it's not bad. No, it normally tends to do that. So again, need a little bit of wrist. Now, I personally believe this is because this is an older knife and probably has some issues from the previous owner. This is going to be sent out to the spa. I'm also going to have this turned into a light stone wash, all this hardware bronzed. I might get some custom scales, but still keep the same kind of fat chunkiness. If at all possible, have this to where it's not quite so contoured, because it is kind of a hot spot. Get rid of this little recurve. Anyways, this is going to be modified pretty heavily. That being said, doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad knife. I am a modder, so I tend to ascribe to the whole principle that, if there's a problem with it, you can fix it. The perfect knife just isn't out there. There's so many different opinions and everything else on what the perfect knife is, and a lot of them contradict themselves. So to find the perfect knife is like finding that unicorn, so you just didn't want to open right there. But a little bit of wrist, and there you go. Could you find a unicorn? Who the hell knows? Anything's possible, but good luck, and you definitely can't count on it. Now, this is the ZT-0560. It's a little bit of a bigger model, longer anyways, but you can't quite see on this. Better idea. But it's nowhere near as thick. This is about 6 ounces, if I recall. This is about 8. So pretty big difference on that. Personally, I don't mind, heavier knives. Obviously, I have half of my things have brass scales. I also want to note here, I'm not touching the lock bar. There's just a little bit of pressure on this pocket clip, which more often than not, when you're dealing with frame lock knives, you're supposed to kind of have your finger on the pocket clip, but that little bit of pressure here makes it to where you're just not going to open this knife. You could probably force it, I guess. So I'm going to do this again. And I'm putting a whole lot of force on these thumb studs. You can see my fingers are literally turning white. All the force that's being applied, and it's not opening. But again, you can flick it real easy with the Spidey flick. It's also a pretty decent flipper. This is the 0562. Now, these both have titanium backsides. One of them is or lock sides, excuse me. One of these is obviously heavily machined, contoured, very comfortable in the hand. This is a pretty beloved knife. I just found out that this is discontinued. I'm not really sure why. This is a hit or a miss. People like me love it, but a lot of people just weren't fans. Almost everyone loved this knife. So I don't know why ZT would shut it down, but it's what they chose to do. Once you get past that detent ball, which is kind of low, detent ramp, whatever you want to call it, it slides super smooth. But just a couple of varying degrees of quality, and just kind of going down the line. I personally feel like ZT has really kind of changed the way they choose to manufacture, right? Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you think about how overcrowded the market is with so many different knives, flippers, folders, thumb stud openers, everything between the lines, it's an interesting thing because they've started producing things like this, which is the RJ Martin 0609, which is a good knife. It's smaller, to be sure, 20 CV steel. It's not comfortable in my hands. My pinky hangs off immediately. But, if I choose to really just kind of become very tense, I can make it work. It's not comfortable. This is actually going to be going up for sale very soon, so if you're interested in this knife, please let me know. I'll give you a deal for it. But then there's also things like this, which is the 0920, which, to be honest with you, is kind of grown on me. I'm still not a huge fan of this weird kind of rhino horn thing, but the action is very good. I'm a big fan of a company called Tactile Turn, and this really kind of reminds me of their machining on their pens. So for a couple different reasons, I really enjoy that. Love the way this sounds. Just... but it's still just a very different direction. You look at something like this, and then something like this, and it's really kind of a night and day difference. Now, yes, this is definitely a lot smoother. It shows a bit more, I don't know, finesse, I guess you would call it. But this also looks like a whole bunch of other different knives. Now, ZT is also a company that primarily is doing collaborations. You know, this is a Ken Onion design. It's a Rick Hinderer design. It's an RJ Martin design. I don't remember who this is. Les George design. I'm not actually sure if they have their own models. They probably do, honestly. But I don't know for sure. But anyways, there's a whole bunch of different knives that look like that, you know. The Hinderer is obviously, it's a Hinderer, you know, it's an iconic piece, the XM18, X24, full track, half track, etc., etc., etc. You know, they're pretty big names. I even have my little Franken Hinderer here, little XM18 abomination. But, you know, there's also companies like, I'll give you an example, Spyderco, which have, you know, they've kind of stuck to the same philosophy right from the very beginning. You know, they just want it to be comfortable, to be able to work well. You know, it's, I remember reading an interview and they talked about, you know, basically they choose to design their knives like they're in the dark. You know, so it doesn't necessarily matter how they look, it matters how they feel, how they function, how they open. Which is an interesting thing, right? Because, you know, ZT, for all intents and purposes, classifies themselves as a tactical knife company, right? Now, that's not really my thing, which is, again, while this is all going to be stonewashed out and like a lot of the blackness or whatever is probably going to be taken off, I am not an operator. Don't get me wrong, spoiler alert, I have a little bit of a history, but I'm not going to go travel over to Afghanistan and all the other types of stuff. I have nothing but the purest respect for our soldiers and our men at arms who do that type of thing, but let's just be real here, I don't. So something like this, you know, it's to a certain audience, right? But see, the marketing and just the name and everything else, zero tolerance, it screams a certain thing. So when you're going from something like this to something like this, it's kind of confusing, you know. If you, I know different companies do a whole bunch of different things, right? But you know, if you kind of have your niche, and this is what you choose to do, you know, stick with it. Not that this is necessarily a bad knife. It's obviously very small. I would, you know, if this is bigger, probably like it a bit more. But at the same time, it's also very busy. You know, it has this very kind of interesting, you know, see-through pivot thing, which requires a proprietary tool from Kershaw. It's just something that's different, you know, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when you start off with a certain piece and you make your mark in that certain piece and you start to you know, diverge in crazy ways, it's not really a good thing. You know, there's obviously just curiosity pieces like this Kaiser Soze. I hate this knife. If anybody wants this, let me know, man. By all means, we'll figure out some way to get it to you. But, you know, this is an Elijah Isham design. Isham, however you say it. But this is a curiosity, you know. I really kind of disagree with a lot of Elijah Isham's principles and design aesthetics, but you know, that's neither here nor there. This also has a very recessed liner lock. You're not closing that with one hand. I don't care who you are. Unless you have really baby hands, maybe. Or if you're okay with just completely jamming your finger in there to where it looks like cheese afterwards. But, you know, this is it's a curiosity. You know, that's okay. But a company like Kaiser has always been very, you know, they diversify. They have a whole bunch of different models, you know, that vary in intensity, weight. They have budget lines, premium lines, like a whole. It's just they kind of run the gambit, right? On top of that, they're also a Chinese company, so they just tend to be able to just switch around. It's a similar principle to the Wii. This is the Wii Knives Deacon, which is again a smaller knife, but as you can see, my hands fit. It just has a really interesting ergos. Now this is definitely smaller. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it definitely fits. And this is a company which, again, they just diversify. They do a whole bunch of different things all the time. So when they throw something like this out, it's not really going to surprise anybody. That was my fault, by the way. I happen to have my hand on the blade path. The action on Wii's are incredible. But on the other front, this is also a Wii. This is a bit beefier. If I hold it like this, again, pinky hangs off. But uses forward choil, very comfortable. It's a bigger knife. It's titanium. It has internal milling done, which you can't really see. But it's a lighter knife, has this nice flame ammo. But anyways, it's just another company which kind of just does a whole bunch of different stuff. Another company would be Benchmade. This is a Benchmade proper, which has an excellent walk and talk, nice sheep's foot blade. Again, they just diversify. They do the whole gambit of things, and that's fine. I have fixed blades from Benchmade that are absolute beaters. I have this little proper, which is a very small knife, but a slip joint isn't really scary. You pull this out in a crowded piece, no one's really going to have a problem. You whip that out, it might be an issue. So based on where I'm at, I might carry this. But again, it's just a company which just diversifies, and they have a whole plethora. They have stuff that is very tactical, like the Infidel, for example, and then things like this, which are just the complete and utter opposite. But they've always been that way. Now, we're talking about Chinese companies previously, so this is a Tucson slip joint with a very, very tight walk and talk. Again, copper and titanium. This is another company which just kind of does the gambit. They just do whatever the hell they want to, and that's fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. But when you start off in one way, right? And again, everything about your company is this hard use, tactical, big, beefy thing. And you go from that to, again, this. It's like, okay, why? It's not that this is a bad knife, just why this company? Why is this design a ZT? Why was this made? Does this scream tactical folder to anyone? Does this scream, hard use to anyone? Like, it's not bad, but it's not what a ZT should be, at least not in my humble opinion. Now, again, we're going to go back to companies pivoting. This is a Lion Steel. They have not full-on tactical knives, but pretty close. And they also have things like this tie spine, which if you saw the way I open it up, maybe I just have too fat of fingers, maybe I just need to adjust the pivot, but this knife, while I can open it one-handed, is a pain in the ass. So this, to me, I almost treat like a modern traditional, just super sleek, slim carry, L-Max blade, very modern steel. A liner lock, frame lock, deep carry pocket clip, etc., etc., etc. But again, it's a company that pivots. They do a whole bunch of different things. When you think about Spyderco, something like this, or like this, I got my PM2 somewhere around here, hold the Mannix. They all have a similar aesthetic. Now, some of them are more slimline, some of them are more sleeker, some of them are obviously more hard use, but they're all the same general principle, You can all tell what they are, and they all serve a certain purpose. Now, you can have big, beefy automatics. You can have stuff like this little piece right here, this little Boker Quaken. And again, I really, this probably seems kind of like a rant, man, but I'm not stressing that, ZT diversifying is necessarily wrong. It's just, when you work so hard to establish a certain brand, right? it's really confusing when you kind of just twist that around. You know, for example, I'll use my old Hogue. Beat the hell out of this knife. They made gun grips for a long time. They created a very tactical space for themselves, a name for themselves, reputations for themselves. And this is what they make. You know, the Hogue AX or EX 105 or 05, I don't remember what it was. You know, that was it's a very, it looks like a stealth bomber, you know. They have a couple OTFs that symbolize the same thing. And again, they created something for themselves. They are known for one thing, and they're just going to do it to the goddamn best they can. And that's a beautiful thing, man. It really is. You know, again, case in point, the 8010 from Cold Steel. Now, Cold Steel is an eccentric ass company. You know, everything about them, from the owner to, you know, the style of knives to just everything, is eccentric. It's hard use. It's just kind of beater. It's kind of ridiculous. You either kind of love them or hate them, and that's fine, but they're true to who they are. Now, there's a few little things like the Tough Light, which, you know, even that you could argue serves a purpose in kind of the same way as something like these would serve. Now, obviously, these are extreme models. This is just fucking ridiculous, but, you know, you get the same general principle and the same general idea. You know, they stick true to what they are. Cold Steel, Hogue, you know, Spyderco, they have a niche, you know. They created something, and they just stick with it. Now, Zero Tolerance, to me, they don't. I think they're trying to get back with it, you know, with the, they recently put out, man, I don't remember what the model number's called, but it's like it's kind of like a bayonet, which a lot of people, strangely enough, don't like. I actually don't like it either, so it shouldn't be that strange, and I'm definitely a kind of hard use, not tactical person, but just the kind of way a lot of the tactical blades look, minus the blacked out pieces, I actually really enjoy. But I mean, just take a look at this. Just from old to newer to newer to newest to this. You know, it's just, it is a crazy transition, and they kind of just go back and forth. Which again, you know, a company like Kershaw, okay, Kershaw is kind of, you know, it's just Kershaw. It is what it is. A lot of people know who they are. They have, you know, before ZT ever existed, you know, they had high-end Kershaw knives. A buddy of mine has a Kershaw that, man, it's incredible. It's not a cheap knife. I think he bought it for like $280 when it came out years ago, and it's probably worth quite a bit more than that now. But, you know, Zero Tolerance was created from Kershaw to fit a very certain type of market. Now, while is this knife bad? No, it's not. But if you literally choose to hit a super premium, tactical, hard use, beefy, you know, subset of the market, and that's your whole purpose, like the name Zero Tolerance, for Christ's sake, just screams tactical or, you know, some sort of extremism. You know, when you diversify from that, you know, it's like, are you even still really ZT? Like, have you completely lost what made you you? Now, this is an interesting thing to think about, really, because I just got these knives. You know, this isn't like I'm like some long-term ZT aficionado, right? I've had plenty of ZTs, don't get me wrong. A few of these I've even had before, and I just stupidly sold. This one, not this blacked out version, the black G10 and all this stuff, had before and sold it off stupidly. But, a little bit of Clipper Tab love there. All right there. But, you know, when you create a company like that, and that's the sole purpose of it, and you're just cornering this one piece of the market and want to be known for this, and then you diversify in such crazy ways, you know, on one hand, it's kind of a beautiful thing. On the other, it's kind of really ugly. You know, be true to who you actually are. Be true to your fans, because somebody who likes, you know, a Spyderco, for example, probably isn't going to go for a lot of ZTs, or somebody who likes the, I don't know, I'll give you an example like Pena, who makes very small, primarily traditional knives. There's a few upgrades like that produced through Riot. But someone who happens to appreciate a Pena probably isn't going to appreciate this. Jesus. Probably isn't going to appreciate this. And that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing that I really think they've kind of lost track of. Find your core audience and, cater to them. This is what it was supposed to be. Maintain it and, love it, live it. Just let that be who you are. This is a longer video than usual. We're approaching 20 minutes right now, but I've just been thinking about this for quite some time, and maybe I'm just running a little too long. Maybe I'm just putting way too much thought into it, but it just kind of bugged me. Like, these seem like different knives. They genuinely do. These are all clearly from the same family, and this is just like some weird subset, which, again, isn't bad. Like, this little knife here, like, I love this thing. This is amazing. Smaller piece for sure, but just absolutely incredible. Because something's different or smaller or streamlined doesn't necessarily make it bad. But at the same time, when you're represented for when you were created for one purpose, like, Kershaw was already a brand. They already existed. If they just wanted to jump back and forth, that's fine. But you created a brand for the whole tactical, big, beefy, overbuilt folders. So live that and love it. Because people like me who have been fans for a while, it's unfortunate. Or people like me who are really recapturing a lot of these old pieces, but you're all discontinued. They're all hard to find. I'm paying more than they retailed for. That's for goddamn sure. And then I'm going through these and finding these pieces, and then I'm coming across stuff like this, which again is unique. It's different. It's cool, I guess, but is it really the same? How are these all from the same company? It's just a curious thing for me. I'm really kind of starting to ramble now. This video is probably not going to get too many likes. If for any reason you guys happen to like these longer videos, kind of just talking, I guess, by all means let me know. It's not really my style, but I could probably do one every now and again if I find an interesting topic. So as always, I love you all very, very much. Please like and subscribe. I'm a very small channel, helps me out a great deal. I do not monetize. You'll see no previews or trailers or any other nonsense on my channel. I'm very much believe in just, everything just being free. Capitalism has a place, and it kind of shouldn't be on a platform like YouTube, in my humble opinion. But that's just my opinion, and my opinion really ain't worth a whole lot, because it's just mine. So as always, take care. I love you all very much, and I apologize for the rant. Bye.